Something very strange is happening as 3i Atlas approaches Earth on December 19th. No, not just the release of the Epstein files, which we should all watch out for. I'm talking about wild behavior 3i Atlas has displayed, the type that could change how we see reality moving forward. To find out which potential effects 3i Atlas is already having on Earth, the weirdest transformations it's experiencing, and whether it could change our life on Earth forever, we must begin with the Moon and the Sun. The same day 3i Atlas gets closest to Earth, we get a new moon. This is huge for those grounded in science wishing for groundbreaking discoveries, but it's also big news for those wishing for alien intervention on Earth. Let me explain. Those grounded in science are super excited simply because a new moon means a significant decrease in moonlight pollution. That means we'll have a much better look at 3i Atlas. The added clarity and contrast will help our scientists better study its coma, its faint outer tail, plus any other faint details. That could be the beginning of groundbreaking discoveries. But those who lean more into spiritual symbolism don't think it's coincidental at all that 3i Atlas and the new moon align. They believe the new moon is a sign of new beginnings, alien intervention on Earth, or at least some type of transcendental event for humans. Let me tell you that the moon is not the only one metaphorically excited about 3i Atlas's closest approach to Earth. The sun has been pretty hyped up these days. Coincidentally or not, space watchers have noticed an increase in solar flares ever since 3i Atlas entered our solar system. There are people who believe 3i Atlas must have done something to the sun, maybe by accident, or maybe on purpose. But scientists disagree. Even Dr. Avi Loeb, an astrophysicist from Harvard known for being speculative and very imaginative, he disagrees. He said that it is unlikely that the surge in solar flares is connected to 3i Atlas. However, our imagination, he says, is mostly limited by the technologies we possess. But what's not sci-fi is the fact that 3i Atlas is getting closer to Earth and its transformations are very much out of the ordinary. To further dissect this major event, we need to know how close it is passing by, how will it affect us, and whether those extraordinary transformations are actually bad news to us here on Earth. Well, as we now know, NASA says 3i Atlas will make its closest pass to Earth on December 19 of this year, 2025. It's still significantly far away. How far? Well, that's 270 million kilometers away, or about 168 million miles. I mean, if you could drive nonstop at highway speed about 60 miles per hour, it would take you way over 300 years to get there. What they're trying to say is that 3i Atlas poses no danger to us, at least in terms of how close it's passing by. Of course, that's assuming that 3i Atlas is just a comet or a natural space object that will continue its route out and away from our solar system. But what if that's not the case? What if 3i Atlas is really something else? Comet or not, one of the strangest transformations 3i Atlas has displayed as it gets closer to us here on Earth is its color. And I am not exaggerating. The color is a big deal because after 3i Atlas passed its closest point to the sun or perihelion, it started giving a large and intense green glow. It's almost as if it had dressed up to see us. Now, of course, I'm being pathetically poetic, but others firmly believe that its new and intense green glow is alien technology powering up. And there's even a growing group of people who swear the green color is a sign of healing energy because they think 3i Atlas is here to help humans transcend evil. but scientists see something very different. Dr. Karen J. Meach is a planetary astronomer at the University of Hawaii in Manoa. She's also one of the world's leading experts at comets and interstellar objects, including the very strange Oumuamua. She explains that the color green on comets comes from a type of carbon gas that lights up when the sunlight hits it. This means that green comets do exist. So why does it matter so much that 3I Atlas is green? Well, Dr. Avi Loeb, our brilliant astrophysicist from Harvard, he explains that what's strange about 3I Atlas is not that it's green, but how clear and strong the green glow is, especially after the comet already passed the sun and started moving away. Normally, most comets come down by that point. So why is 3I Atlas still super green and super hyped? The hope is that the observations on December 19th and afterwards will give us clarity. And while scientists wait for it like you wait for the holiday break, Avi Loeb points to something even weirder seen again and again in images, including photographs taken by the Hubble Space Telescope from July 21st of this year to the most recent on November 30th of this year, 2025. So what's that weird thing Dr. Avi Loeb is pointing at? Well, there is a faint glowing extension that points toward the sun. You may have heard of it already, but soon I'll tell you what has changed about this strange behavior. Scientists often call this glowing tail pointing toward the sun a sunward antitail. That is weird because the tail of a comet usually points away from the sun, and that happens because the sunlight and the solar wind push gas and tiny dust outward. However, astrophysicists in and outside of NASA explain that an antitail is actually an optical illusion, meaning it seems like it's pointing toward the sun when observed from the angles we get from Earth, but in reality, it's pointing away like most comets' tails do. But Dr. Avi Loeb thinks that 3I Atlas's tail is not a simple optical illusion. He treats it as a very real feature that needs an explanation. Not only that, the tail just got weirder. No kidding. According to Avi Loeb and his colleagues, new observations show that 3I Atlas has a bright jet that points towards the sun and gently wiggles or wobbles in a repeating pattern. That steady wiggle suggests the object is spinning, but the weird part is the spin seems aimed almost straight at the sun. So one side stays in sunlight most of the time, while the other one stays in darkness. Usually, when something spins, all sides take turns facing the sun. On top of it, Avi Loeb is pointing out that one of the jets coming from 3I Atlas is aimed toward the sun and is extremely narrow, like a laser. This is strange, he says, because in normal comets, when sunlight hits the eyes on the surface, the gas and dust that create the tail spray out in many directions. On top of it all, the laser-looking jet keeps pointing at the sun even after moving away from it, which is also rare. But what's keeping Dr. Loeb awake at night is the cause of this strange antitail on 3I Atlas. As a matter of fact, and I'm not kidding you, for the past 5 months or so, Dr. Loeb has been rolling so hard in bed, he came up with a few ideas as to why 3I Atlas has such a weird antitail. One is that the comet sheds tiny icy grains from its sun-facing side. Those grains scatter sunlight, so we see a glow aiming at the sun. But maybe what's happening is that they can evaporate fast enough that they do not get blown back into a classic tail. Another idea is that a small cloud of material is left behind as the comet moves forward. Dr. Avi Loeb says he considers this idea because the comet's motion shows a tiny extra push that gravity alone cannot explain. He thinks that the leftover material could be glowing and creating the strange shape pointing toward the sun. But scientists disagree. One of those individuals is Dr. Florian Neukart. He is a seasoned computer scientist and physicist who specializes in quantum computing, AI, and theoretical physics. He noticed that 3i Atlas is moving just a tiny bit differently than gravity alone would predict. That is, what Dr. Avi Loeb and other scientists noticed through actual data. Now, if the strange glow and tell is real, and the strange acceleration is also very real, what is causing it? Dr. Florian Neukart specifically used physics-based thermophysical models that simulate how a comet heats up and releases gas as it approaches the sun. The results came in, and what came up was not at all what I expected. But before I reveal the results, I'd like to invite you to support this channel by joining our membership. You get a shout out on upcoming videos, plus cool perks rolling out soon. And if you decide to do so, I might tell Santa to go ahead and put you on his good kid list. I'm very close to him, so I don't know, just think about it. Thank you. And back to the results. When Dr. Florian Neukart checked his test, it showed that as 3i Atlas gets closer to the sun, it warms up and it slowly leaks gas. For those of you who love rice and beans as much as I do, it seems you and I now have something in common with 3i Atlas. Except that in the case of 3i Atlas, leaking gas can act like a tiny engine, giving the comet a small extra push on top of the one it gets from gravity. Dr. Neukart realized that if 3i Atlas is releasing carbon monoxide, which easily turns into gas even if far from the sun, that alone can cause the extra acceleration other scientists measured. You know, like some of you, I would love it if 3i Atlas was a probe from a very, very peaceful alien species. And that would be great. That would prove that, first of all, we are not 100% alone, and that there is so much more to life, to reality, than what we're being told. But I've also come to learn that there's a lot of magic that already exists in this timeline you and I share. I'm not kidding. I mean, we are witnessing one of the most incredible and rarest space observations in history. And it's already marked us from kids, tiny little babies, to all the way to our grandparents, rich and poor. That's something we all share. And it's happening right now during the holidays. If you don't consider that a true cosmic gift, then I don't know what else to tell you. What's crazier is that as 3i Atlas gets closer to Earth, it experiences even more mysterious and rare transformations. As a matter of fact, here is a video breaking down the strangest and wildest transformations. I hope you watch it. Thank you for existing, and happy holidays.